Alfred Marshall, 1842 to 1924, was a pioneering British economist whose work laid the foundation for modern microeconomics. Born in London, he initially studied mathematics at St. John's College, Cambridge, before turning his attention to philosophy and ethics, eventually leading to his profound interest in economics. His academic journey culminated in his becoming a professor of political economy at Cambridge University, where he was instrumental in establishing economics as a distinct academic discipline. Marshall's contributions to economics are numerous and significant. He introduced several key concepts that are fundamental to the field today. One of his major contributions was the advancement of the theory of marginal utility, which examines how the value of goods and services is determined by their additional utility to consumers. He also developed the concept of price elasticity of demand, a measure of how demand for a product changes in response to price variations. His model of supply and demand curves laid the groundwork for analyzing market equilibrium. Marshall's focus on partial equilibrium analysis, which isolates individual markets and industries to understand their behavior without interference from other markets, was a notable methodological innovation. Additionally, his introduction of the concepts of producer and consumer surplus provided tools to quantify the benefits that producers and consumers receive from participating in the market. The Principles of Economics, published in 1890, emerged during a period of significant economic transformation. The late 19th century was marked by rapid industrialization, technological innovation, and the rise of large-scale enterprises. This era also saw growing academic interest in systematically studying economic phenomena to address the complexities of a rapidly changing economic landscape. Marshall's work is often regarded as a seminal piece that bridged classical and neoclassical economics. By integrating the insights of earlier economists like Adam Smith, David Ricardo, and John Stuart Mill with new analytical tools and concepts, he helped shift the focus from macroeconomic issues, such as national income and economic growth, to microeconomic analysis of individual markets and consumer behavior. This shift laid the groundwork for much of modern economic theory and practice. Marshall defined economics as a study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. This definition underscores his belief that economics should focus on human welfare and the conditions that improve living standards. According to Marshall, economics is concerned with how people earn their livelihoods and how they use their income, encompassing both the production and consumption of goods and services. He emphasized the role of economics in improving societal welfare, believing that by understanding economic principles, policymakers could design better interventions to alleviate poverty, enhance productivity, and distribute resources more equitably. In Marshall's view, economics should serve as a tool for addressing social issues and fostering human development. Marshall articulated several fundamental laws of economics that describe the behavior of economic agents and the functioning of markets. He described the law of demand, which states that as the price of a good falls, the quantity demanded generally increases, and vice versa, assuming other factors remain constant. Similarly, he outlined the law of supply, which states that as the price of a good rises, the quantity supplied typically increases, and vice versa, again assuming other factors remain constant. Marshall also introduced the law of diminishing marginal utility, which posits that the additional satisfaction or utility gained from consuming each additional unit of a good decreases as consumption increases. In terms of methodology, Marshall advocated for the use of both theoretical and empirical methods in economic research. He stressed the importance of deductive reasoning, which involves developing general principles from specific observations and logical analysis, and inductive reasoning, which entails formulating theories based on empirical data and real-world evidence. He also encouraged the use of mathematical models to represent economic relationships and predict outcomes, while maintaining that economics should ultimately be grounded in real-world applicability and human behavior. By combining these approaches, Marshall believed that economists could develop a more comprehensive and accurate understanding of economic phenomena, leading to better policy recommendations and improved societal outcomes. Utility and demand are central concepts in Marshall's economic theory. The theory of utility refers to the satisfaction or pleasure derived by consumers from consuming goods and services. Marshall emphasized that utility is subjective and varies from person to person. Central to this theory is the law of diminishing marginal utility, which states that as a person consumes more units of a good, the additional satisfaction gained from each additional unit decreases. For example, the first slice of pizza might bring great pleasure, but by the fourth or fifth slice, the additional satisfaction is much less. Demand curves, which graphically represent the relationship between the price of a good and the quantity demanded, are downward sloping, reflecting the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Elasticity of demand measures how sensitive the quantity demanded is to a change in price. A product with high price elasticity sees significant changes in demand with small price changes, while a product with low elasticity sees little change in demand with price fluctuations. Turning to production and supply, Marshall identified the factors of production as land, labor, capital, and organization. These factors are inputs used in the creation of goods and services. He also discussed the law of diminishing returns, which states that if one factor of production is increased while others remain constant, the overall returns will eventually decrease. For instance, adding more workers to a fixed amount of machinery will at some point yield less additional output per worker. Supply curves illustrate the relationship between the price of a good and the quantity supplied, typically sloping upward because higher prices incentivize producers to supply more. Elasticity of supply measures how responsive the quantity supplied is to a change in price. Factors influencing supply elasticity include the availability of raw materials, production capacity, and the time frame considered. In discussing market equilibrium, Marshall described the interaction of supply and demand as the mechanism that determines the market price and quantity of goods traded. Market equilibrium occurs where the quantity demanded equals the quantity supplied, resulting in a stable market condition. Any deviation from this equilibrium leads to adjustments in price and quantity until the equilibrium is restored. Price elasticity of demand, as previously mentioned, assesses how the quantity demanded responds to price changes. This concept is crucial for understanding consumer behavior and for businesses to set optimal pricing strategies. Similarly, the price elasticity of supply examines how the quantity supplied reacts to price changes. Both elasticities have significant applications and implications. For instance, understanding demand elasticity helps firms predict how changes in price, due to taxation or policy changes, will affect their sales and revenue. Supply elasticity, on the other hand, can influence decisions regarding investment in production capacity and resource allocation. By comprehensively analyzing these elasticities, economists and businesses can better anticipate market reactions and make more informed decisions. Marshall's theory of value delves into the cost of production, emphasizing the roles of marginal cost and average cost. Marginal cost refers to the additional cost incurred in producing one more unit of a good, while average cost is the total cost divided by the number of units produced. Understanding these costs is essential for firms in making production decisions. Marshall distinguished between short-run and long-run costs, noting that in the short run, at least one factor of production is fixed, leading to different cost behaviors compared to the long run where all factors are variable. The value of goods, according to Marshall, is determined by both supply and demand. On the supply side, the cost of production, which includes wages, raw materials, and capital, plays a crucial role. On the demand side, consumer preferences and utility influence value. Marshall also differentiated between market price and normal price. The market price is the actual transaction price in the short term, which can fluctuate due to temporary factors like supply shocks or changes in consumer demand. The normal price, however, is an equilibrium price that reflects the long-term balance between supply and demand, factoring in the cost of production and ensuring that firms can cover their costs and earn a normal profit. The distribution of income in Marshall's framework begins with an analysis of wages and labor markets. He explored various theories of wages, including the subsistence theory, which posits that wages tend to stabilize at a level that allows workers to sustain themselves. He also discussed the marginal productivity theory, which states that wages are determined by the marginal product of labor, the additional output produced by an additional worker. Several factors influence wages, such as the supply and demand for labor, the level of skills and education, and bargaining power of workers and employers. In examining capital and interest, Marshall presented theories of capital that view it as an accumulation of goods produced for the purpose of producing other goods. He emphasized the importance of savings and investment in the formation of capital. Interest rates, according to Marshall, are determined by the supply of capital, savings, and the demand for capital, investment opportunities. The interaction between these forces sets the equilibrium interest rate, balancing the preferences of savers and the needs of borrowers. Marshall's analysis of rent and land drew heavily on the Ricardian theory of rent, which posits that rent is determined by the differential productivity of land. Land that is more productive or better located commands higher rent. Marshall expanded on this by considering modern interpretations that include factors like the impact of urbanization and technological advancements on land values. Through his comprehensive examination of value and income distribution, Marshall provided a detailed framework for understanding how resources are allocated and compensated in an economy. His insights into costs, value determinants, wage theories, capital formation, interest rates, and rent continue to influence economic thought and policymaking. In Marshall's exploration of economic progress and welfare, economic growth and development are central themes. He identified several factors driving economic growth, including investment in physical and human capital, technological advancements, and institutional improvements. Marshall underscored the role of technology and innovation as catalysts for sustained economic expansion, emphasizing their ability to enhance productivity, create new industries, and improve living standards over time. Welfare economics, another critical area of Marshall's work, focuses on assessing and maximizing societal welfare. Marshall proposed measures of economic welfare that extend beyond traditional metrics like GDP to include factors such as income distribution, quality of life, and social mobility. He highlighted the importance of equitable distribution of wealth and income, arguing that policies aimed at reducing poverty and promoting social justice contribute to overall welfare enhancement. In the application of economic principles, Marshall examined industrial organization, analyzing market structures such as perfect competition, monopoly, and oligopoly. He studied how these structures influence pricing strategies, market behavior, and efficiency. Marshall's insights into competitive markets underscored the importance of market competition in promoting efficiency and consumer welfare while cautioning against the potential pitfalls of monopolistic practices that could distort market outcomes. In public economics, Marshall addressed the role of government in the economy, advocating for interventions to correct market failures and promote public goods. He discussed the principles of taxation, emphasizing equity and efficiency considerations in designing tax policies. Marshall also examined public expenditure, highlighting its role in providing essential services, infrastructure, and social safety nets that contribute to economic stability and welfare. In conclusion, Marshall's work has left a profound legacy on economic thought and theory. His integration of microeconomic analysis with broader macroeconomic insights laid the foundation for modern economics, influencing generations of economists. Marshall's principles continue to resonate today, offering valuable perspectives on issues ranging from market dynamics and income distribution to the role of government in economic management. By applying Marshall's principles, economists and policymakers can address contemporary challenges and strive towards sustainable economic development and welfare enhancement. Like and subscribe for more.